welcome to Hash House. It's another beautiful Monday. And we got to thank Samantha Francesca for the wonderful mix. And this Monday we're going to be talking again a little bit about CBD and how CBD is in the news. And then we're going to be taking some dabs. Then I'm going to show you guys a little bit of how I roll a blunt. And to get us started, let's go ahead and read a little bit of the news. So recently, there's been a lot of talk about CBD. All right, so I've talked about CBD in the past couple of shows. We talked about how Coca-Cola is looking to get into CBD, and all of these news are making waves in the industry. You have Canada, who's just completely legalized, and they are getting ready to really put a wave into this industry. And then we have other states that are also legalizing and are making moves. It's all these ballot initiatives that are creating waves in this industry right now. So let's talk a little bit about the FDA and what it says about marijuana. So pretty much FDA has claimed that CBD doesn't meet the criteria for federal control. So the FDA is no longer trying to regulate CBD. What this means is that DEA placed marijuana-derived drug in a restricted category under federal law and was largely based on recommendation from the Food and Drug Administration. But according to a recently released internal government letter, the FDA actually concluded that cannabidol or CBD doesn't meet the criteria for federal control at all. CBD is a non-psychoactive ingredient in cannabis that serves as the basis of new FDA-approved epilepsy drugs, Epidiolex. So what does this exactly mean for cannabis? Nothing really, because it's just CBD. THC is still federally regulated. What's interesting is that the letter also mentioned that the FDA had been advised by the then DEA acting administrator Robert Patterson that federally descheduling CBD altogether would represent a violation of international drug treaties to which the U.S. is a party. In April, the DEA asserted that the United States would not be able to keep obligations under the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. God damn, I don't even want to say that word. If CBD were to be decontrolled under the CSA, the FDA letter reveals. Therefore, the FDA amended its recommendation advising the DEA to place CBD in a Schedule 5, the least restrictive. So they're being forced to classify it. But altogether, there are 8 factors that the FDA considered when making its descheduling or recommendation. And one of those that is saying that CBD could be removed from control under the CSA completely. The reason they reached this is because it doesn't meet the criteria. So, it's not a psychoactive drug. It actually helps people. And ultimately, the DEA has accepted the recommendation and placed Epidiolex in a Schedule 5 on Friday. But its final notice, the DEA repeatedly emphasized that the rescheduling decision did not affect legal status of marijuana or any CBD products except for Epidiolex and future generic FDA-approved versions of the drug. The DEA will continue to support sound scientific research that promotes legitimate therapeutic use for FDA-approved constituent components of cannabis, consistent with federal laws. So, what this means is that the DEA is still going to be committed to work with their federal partners and their local partners to make everything more effective and more efficient for legal CBD, which is just saying that they're going to hunt the non-legal CBD according to them. It's crazy, though, that the FDA wanted to deschedule it completely, because if they would have done so, they would have, there would have been some retributions with some treaties, but I don't know if that really matters at this point. There's, so many countries that were part of those treaties that have already descheduled drugs in a certain way. Some more news. We have California, which passed a great legislation that helps people reclaim their lives. Hailed by advocates as a chance for people to reclaim their lives, a new California law will soon make it easier for people with past marijuana convictions to get their records expunged completely. Assembly Bill 1793 passed by overwhelming majority in the California state legislature and signed it into law Sunday night by Governor Jerry Brown. And it'll streamline a previously tedious process that made it difficult for residents with a prior cannabis-related conviction to clear their names. This is transformative, said Ronnie Holcomb of the Drug Policy Alliance, a New York City-based national organization that advocates for human rights-driven drug policy. This creates an opportunity for people to reclaim their lives. California is not the first state to retroactively allow those with cannabis convictions a chance to reduce or completely remove their past. That distinction goes to Oregon, which legalized recreational weed in 2014, Colorado, Maryland, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. Plus, the cities of San Francisco, Seattle, and San Diego have laws similar to Oregon's where individuals convicted of some marijuana-related crimes like possession, cultivation, or manufacturing can work to get their records sealed or expunged. But California is the first to automate the system, which lawmakers and bill supporters hope will be a game changer for thousands of residents who have limited access to student loans, housing, and jobs because of their criminal records. The Judicial Council for California estimates that at least 218,000 residents would benefit from the new law. The failed war on drugs is in so many ways wreaks havoc on the community, damages and anguish on the Californians that the assembly member who proposed the measure, Ron Bonta of Oakland, says this is where government can step in and make it better. Pot convictions disproportionately affect communities of color, according to a 2016 study from the ACLU and Drug Policy Alliance. That study found that while white people consume marijuana at a similar rate to black people, and more than Latino communities of color are more likely to be targeted by law enforcement or low-level marijuana possession infractions. This means that if you're a person of color, you're gonna be getting, hassled a lot more than if you weren't. What's up, man? How you doing? Glad you came by, bro. And this new law in California is revolutionary because it is also helping states understand what is needed for the future and laying down the groundwork. So let's move on to Canada, a little bit north, see how that works out. So we've got Canada is, really booming with the marijuana industry. They have investment banks who are ready to just lay down money. They're going hard. They're looking at companies from South America that are investing into ventures in Canada. There's a lot of things that are possible right now in Canada. So when bankers were trying to do a share offering a few years back for a fledgling cannabis company, it was tough to get investors to take a meeting. Nowadays, that's not so much so. The hard sell for GMP Capital, which led the deal where people were skeptical for now this company Canopy has gone up extremely fast, and GMP Capital was the one who made all this happen. And this is just one of the many boutique cannabis companies that are coming out of Canada. There's investor frenzy is what the Wall Street Journal has posted. We have Canaccord Genuity Group, which has picked up a lot of support from financial corporations and 8 other capital investment banks. There's 200 million in Canada and the U.S. for these reverse mergers. And the data from PitchBook and Cormac Securities has also been involved. And, so it's the time to get in is now. Investors are piling into the sector ahead of Canada's legalization of recreational marijuana in October. The market values have ballooned, leading some to draw comparisons to last year's Bitcoin rally and the tech stock bubble of the 1990s. More established U.S. and Canadian banks have shied away from the business, but they are starting to take note. Half a decade ago, there was a few deals in the space, and they were mostly small Canadian firms better known for mining. But now there are a handful of Canadian investment banks that have really helped the industry get started. That's what Cam Batley from Aurora Cannabis Inc., which is one of Canada's largest marijuana companies, has said. And as marijuana companies mature and larger banks become more comfortable with the sector, a lot of people wonder how Canadian firms will be able to maintain their lead. Goldman Sachs and Constellation Brands are advised on a $4 billion investment in Canopy in August. Bank of America provided a bridge loan. New York Investment Bank of Greenhill advised Canopy. So these are huge companies that are getting into the green space. New York-based Cohen Inc. led the July initial public offering of Tilray Inc., whose share price surged and then collapsed in recent weeks, and it's really captivated traders. The stock is listed in the U.S. and on the NASDAQ. There have also been some hiccups. In June 2017, Canaccord and 8 Capital were dropped from a planned $80 million Canadian private placement by Vancouver-based Cannabis Wheaton Income Corp., which has since been renamed as Oxley Cannabis Group. But the deal broke down after reports surfaced that the banks owned stakes in the company and were conflicted as they tried to raise money from investors. Said that at the time of the arrangement, everything had been disclosed months before the company, but it was still dropped by the banks that had raised, $88 million with the Bank of Montreal a year later. And the Bank of Montreal has been the largest investor in Canadian Canopy. It's invested in companies such as Canopy, Cronos, and Aurora Cannabis. Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce was one of the lead banks on a recent $104 million private placement. I'm sorry, Canadian dollars. So that's probably around $80 million, along with the GMP for venture capital arm of Canopy. The other large banks in the country, including Royal Bank of Canada and Toronto Dominion Bank and Bank of Nova Scotia, have so far stayed away from the sector. U.S. banks too are largely holding back. While several U.S. states have legalized marijuana for recreational and medicinal use, it is still illegal under federal law, which poses a lot of hazards for big U.S. banks, which are subject to federal regulations. So let's move a little bit away from that, move into some more day-to-day stuff, things that happen when drugs are illegal. Because of the drug war, there are a lot of times people who try to access marijuana in an illegal black market, and things can happen. That's why a teen was robbed at gunpoint while trying to buy marijuana on September 19th. This was in Madison, Wisconsin. Police report the teen met a couple at a gas station and drove with them to their car to the 3100 block of Pelham. The teen believed they were on their way to get marijuana. Instead, the couple stopped the car and ordered the teen to hand the money, and they just drove off and left the teenager. A passerby later came by to the 19-year-old's aid. I mean, this guy's funny. He just gets into a car with random people and hopes for the best. They just leave him stranded somewhere. It's hilarious. So now we're gonna take a little break, go for a little dab of I've got this this stuff right here pressed out. I showed it to you guys last week, the nugs of it, and this is what it looks like. This is you guys saw it last week. This is the Obama Kush. After it's been pressed out, you can tell it's nice and shiny. Smells like peanut butter. Such a weird terp profile. Excuse me, sir. Can I borrow your torch? Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, can we put on the little camera too? I don't know if I can use that. Is that like trademark? I'm going in super hot for this bitch. Fuck it. You gotta waste it to taste it. We gotta taste the peanut butter terps that are coming off this thing. Peanut butter terps. That's tasty. Those low temp dabs, man, that's what I'm about. I hate coffee my ass off. Low temp, you taste everything. Man, hot dabs, just I'm coughing for hours afterwards. Yeah, because there's so much, it's so much CBD is getting like converted, you know, it's like, just boom. Yeah. This stuff is fucking interesting though, man. I fucking love rosin. Like flower rosin, it's so easy to tell when you have good weed, when you press it out. Like the difference in salt grown and organic grown is so fucking obvious. Like you can see that shit. It comes out clear compared to when you have stuff that's grown in salts that's like super dark and it just doesn't look as good. I've got some stuff that's been curing over here. This is called Platinum Girl Scout Cookies. I've been showing this to everybody because it's just so fucking gassy. Can we turn on that one again? Yeah, the small one. This shit's so gassy. I wish you guys could smell this right now. This stuff right here, just ask me for some. I'll give you a free dab for sure. Oh, shout out to TDK Extracts for pressing this out for me. He's using the Sasquatch and shit's fucking amazing. Love the Sasquatch. Alright, we're good. So, back to the news, guys. We got some more news to go by. We got New Jersey's is soon to get legal weed, is what Governor Murphy says. Could you imagine that? New Jersey people are no longer going to come to D.C. to pick up their weed. Yeah, it can't smell any worse. That's very true. It's going to smell way better now. So what does that mean? You know, it's like, oh, these guys realize they're losing out on tax money. So Michigan marijuana dispensaries finally get their deadline for approval, and you know, all of these dispensaries that were running illegally have to get final approval before December 15th, and that's the deadline that regulators designated 2 weeks ago after a court claims judge overruled the state's plan to treat two different classes of dispensaries differently. The moving target for licensure or closure has been a roller coaster for the 206 dispensaries that have been operating with approval from their local communities but still haven't gotten a state license. And Michigan probably has one of the best growing marijuana industries. You know, they've got a great medical program, and now they're gonna have an awesome rec program too, hopefully soon. And we got Maine too, right? Maine's got a great program, medical, right? Medical. But now we have a new medical state that passed laws, I think, this September. Was it Oklahoma? I can't remember. Oklahoma. Yeah, and so it was Oklahoma, and they have approved so many licenses for marijuana shops. Like, it's crazy. They are just picking up. They've got like, all right, so I'm gonna look at this chart, and it went from 0 to 300 in like two weeks. Like, literally, like, yeah, like how many licenses they approved. Yeah, there's no limit. Oklahoma. We're gonna be moving to Oklahoma. It's a state I never wanted to go to, but now it seems awesome. Yeah. Oh, their laws are crazy good because they passed the ballot initiative. So it's all through like people who wanted to pass this law. It's like, it's one of those states where if you petition and go for it, like, you can actually have things passed the way you want to pass. And they have, it's crazy. I know a lot of people from back in the day in college. I was super involved with Students for Sensible Drug Policy and Drug Policy Alliance. And some of the big guys are living in Oklahoma, like working there. And they've been trying to move that for a while now. And it's crazy to see how far it's moved and what they're doing with it. Yeah, so Sooners are gonna be stoners. I wonder what their public smoking laws are going to be like, because the ones in DC, they just changed them, you know, because DC now we were always illegally smoking in public, but now we have a law that makes it less bad if we get caught. Yeah, so I was talking to a police officer, and he said that they can still take you to jail. They can if the police officer thinks that you're like a threat, or that you were an asshole when he like told you about it. Yeah, but they can still take you to jail. It's not like, yeah, but like, it's still kind of fucked up because you still have to go to the courthouse to pay it, right? Or no, you gotta go to the station or pay it. Oh yeah, you gotta pay it. I wonder how much money they're gonna make off that. I was reading statistics that show that, you know, cities that collect most of their money in fines and fees don't do so good at actually catching criminals and doing law enforcement. But I don't know. I think the police here in DC are doing a fine job, so long as they don't talk to me. And got to give it a shout out to Samantha again for the saucy sessions that she put up on her SoundCloud 2 years ago. I don't know, her sound's changed a lot since then. We're going to take a little break, and then after we come back, I'm going to show you guys how to roll blunt. Back, guys. So, real quick, we're gonna do a little blunt rolling session right now. I've got a Dutch, a Java Dutch. These are the new ones. I like these. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna first get it nice and moist using some spit or some water. I'm gonna go ahead and use my spit. Alright, so you get it wet. Yeah. So if you're fancy, you can use like a razor blade and stuff. But you know, if you're on the go and you're rolling at a show or at a park, you just want to cut into it like so. Yeah, those veiny guts. Then you just like you're trying to get the guts out, and the whole thing goes in it. So then you got to get rid of the guts, you know, the inside of the blunt. You don't smoke that when you're rolling up a blunt. Cause do you know anybody who smokes a blunt? Who actually smokes blunts? Yeah, like straight up tobacco. Yeah, but I don't think I've ever met anybody who actually smokes like a Philly. Yeah, or like a Dutch Master. Yeah, Black and Milds, yeah, but like I've never met anybody. Alright, so then the next part, guys, is we gotta get this wet again because it's real dry. So we gotta lick it again. Boom. There we go. And that's the start of a blunt right here. All right, so then the next thing we do is we get some bomb indoor grown weed. Hopefully this is what you're working with. You know, if it's not, it's okay. You know. Yeah. I just can't really smoke mid. You know, it's like people are like, "Yo, man, you're wasting that good weed smoking in the blunt." It's like, nah, man, this is some good weed. That's all I smoke. Man, I've been smoking blunts since I was like 14 years old. There's nothing better than smoking a blunt with a bunch of your friends. All right, so I like to do the hand breakup. It's just something I like to do personally. Once I've taken all the stems out, then I really don't care about it. Now I'm just gonna grab it. And I learned this in Colombia, how to break up herb like this. You put it like that, and you put your fingers like this, and you just go for it. You want to break up most of the big nugs, you know. Really get in it and tear them up, get them ready for the blunt. You don't want to have big chunky nugs in there. You still want to have like, you know, not too fine, not too chunky, you know, like, yeah. Man, this Gorilla Glue smells fucking amazing. If you haven't tried this yet, you gotta come try it. It's the original Gorilla Glue. Alright, so I think this is pretty nice and crushed up, right? Looks pretty good. So then we're gonna go ahead and spread this on the blunt. So this next part is probably the trickiest part. This is where the actual rolling happens. So alright, so we're gonna get ready to roll it. Oh no, I'll lick it in a second. Just you can keep that one. Alright, so you just kind of want to start rolling it slowly. Start from one end, go to the middle, do a little bit of the middle, do a little bit of the other end. Alright, make sure you got it nice and tight. Alright, go back to the middle, and then roll it out. Alright, and I like to use the part that has part that if you were to smoke the Rillo by just smoking it, I like to use that part as the mouthpiece. So I try and remember where that part is. Alright, and now you see we've got all that extra paper there. We're going to use that to seal it. So what we do is we just lick it. Well, sometimes you get a little accidents like that, it's fine. And then seal it slowly. I'm known for the flip of that cocaina. Seal the other side. And that's all there really is to it. You got a nice little blunt, seal it up a little bit better with a little spit. Finger spit, like that, boom. That's the blunt. And then the best part about a blunt is smoking it. I'm known for the flip for that cocaina. But I'm gonna add one last thing to it. Is we're gonna add this oil to it. So just do a little bit of the oil. It's a little dab, doesn't have to be much. Actually, let's go into it. Let's make it worth it. For that cocaina. Yeah, I'm just taking it off with my fingers, I know. Boom, alright, so now we're gonna smoke it, guys. The moment has come to smoke it. I want to give a big shout out to Pot Pocket. They made me my own little personalized pot pocket. And pretty much what this is to store your blunts. And it's really cool because it works really well. What you do is you put it in here as it's lit, right? Put it in there, right? Oh, you close it, put it in your pocket. It's still lit, right? You think that, right? But no, because the oxygen is not escaping that area, you're gonna get the blunt to go out. So it preserves the blunt. The taste should still be pretty similar to how it started because you're not pressing down on it and you're not adding any force to the ash. And then what you do when you want to smoke it again is you just take it out of here and light it up again. Pass it to a friend if you can. Again, got to give a shout out to Pot Pocket for hooking it up. If you don't follow them, go follow them. Pot Pocket USA. You want to take a hit of this? No, I don't use filter in my blunts. There's no point. I never smoke the blunt all the way down to the filter anyways. You know, like if I were to put it there, I think I think the blunt gets just as resin is, so I don't really see the point in it because there's so much tobacco in it, you know? Yo, what's up, Lucky 420? How you doing, man? What's up? Nice, man. That's what's up. Thanks. Gotta come through. Oh, you gotta see this this Platinum Girl Scout cookies that I've been. This is the stuff that I grew and that TDK pressed out. It's super gassy. It smells so good. Yeah, and it's like it melts. Straight. Whoa. What's that? Yeah. Whoa, what's that? Oh, weird. Oh, we should have let it be there. That would have been kind of cool. Matt, where'd it go? Oh, it's right here. Master of the Moths. Lord of the Flies. All right, guys. So we're gonna finish it out with Samantha Francesca on the mix, and this weekend you can catch them at the Warehouse, of course. And I don't know what shows they're doing. You know, it's been a crazy week. Happy birthday, Sam. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care.